China is seeing a real surge in outbound tourism as the country's 5-day May Day holiday begins. Chinese travel platform Tuna.com says international flight bookings for the first day of the holiday have hit a record high, increasing 20% compared to pre-pandemic levels in 2019. Incredible. Chinese travelers have booked hotels in more than 1,000 cities around the world. Air ticket bookings have doubled for flights to European countries, including the United Kingdom, Hungary, Ireland, Spain and Croatia. However, the top 3 destinations for Chinese travellers remain Thailand, Japan and Malaysia. It's mainly due to visa-free entry and, of course, the depreciation of the Japanese yen. Now, Gary Barman is the director of Check-in Asia. He's also an expert on Asian travel and consumer trends.
I think it's pretty interesting this year. It's got a little bit of added importance given the context of China's reopening. So you look at it domestically, it's very important. It's a 5-day holiday. It's the last major public holiday before October. So there is going to be a huge amount of domestic travel in China. Internationally, it ranks below the October holiday and the Spring Festival in terms of the pure volume of travelers. But again, that context of this being the second year of China's reopening. Last year, we saw a gradual progression as the year increased of Chinese travelers. This year, we had a pretty strong first quarter of the year. And of course, now flight capacities, international flight capacities are much, much higher than they were this time last year for the May holiday. That means there's more flight routes, there's more available flight tickets and more options for travelers. So I think there will be a lot more interest this year in terms of the diverse spread of Chinese travelers for this holiday, very much compared to last year. I think inevitably there will be comparisons back to 2019 and it won't get close to those levels. But we certainly are seeing strong progression quarter on quarter.
So where's everyone going, both domestically within China and perhaps further abroad?
So internationally, I guess you'll probably be looking at the Asia-Pacific destination. So, you know, the usual suspects, really. You'll look at Japan, South Korea, Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, also Australia. If you look at the first quarter of the year, for example, 78% of Chinese travelers stayed within the Asia-Pacific region. So that's 8 out of 10 travelers. So you can see that the concentration of travel and the dispersion is pretty similar to it was pre-pandemic. You will see growth in some areas, particularly the Middle East. You're seeing a lot more airline capacity into destinations such as Turkey, the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia for sure. Those are growth destinations. And of course, you'll see some travel going to Europe as well. But those numbers, in terms of the overall aggregation, will be much smaller than Asia Pacific. When you come to China, of course, the numbers are just extraordinarily huge, and it will be the major cities, again, will be the big beneficiaries. But if you also look back to last year, last May holiday was the time when we started to see these destinations like Zubo in Shandong province really attracting more interest amongst younger travelers. And I think we'll start to see more of these sort of lower tier cities that have something very, very interesting and compelling culturally or in cuisine terms. Again, this year we'll gain a lot more interest from young travelers who can travel by train.
The impact of the COVID pandemic was global, massive, massive disruption. You mentioned earlier that there has been some recovery since 2023 in China. At what point do you think China's tourism is going to recover to pre-COVID levels?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And you ask any destination or any person in the travel industry, that's the billion-dollar question at the moment. I think the one thing that we have to always bear in mind across Asia-Pacific is that we experience COVID very differently in terms of the lockdowns and the closure of travel than the rest of the world. So I think what we saw in 2023 was a gradual recovery. In 2024 internationally, we're seeing a stronger recovery from the Chinese outbound market. But you know, even the aviation regulator in China is saying that overall this year, you're probably looking at about 80% of international capacity compared to 2019. So, you know, that kind of caps the overall aggregation. But some markets are recovering more quickly than others. And I think when you look at the full year figures at the end of this year, some destinations will be probably a little bit more pleased than others.